So that's a really long way to say that at K33, we are in the process of buying Bitcoin. But the big question then is, what is K33 and why are we doing this? What's the strategic rationale for us to do it? And what differentiates us from the other Bitcoin treasury companies out there? So that's what I'm going to talk about. And then I'm happy to answer any questions in the Q&A session after. Some disclaimers first. So I think we should start then with Bitcoin. And I think it's really important to internalize that back in 2008, Bitcoin was only an idea, an 8-page document on an email list for nerds. Now, Bitcoin is a strategic reserve in the US. The US spot ETFs became the most successful launch in history. Bitcoin started out as an alternative to banks, finance without a middleman. Yet right now, we're seeing the big financial institutions all over the world embracing the industry, particularly in the US. The EU is coming a little bit after, but with new regulation in place in form of MiCA, I anticipate that financial institutions will come into this space from next year and onwards. And I think what we are witnessing right now is the emergence of Bitcoin as a part of the global financial system. In the past, it was mainly a speculative object, an investment object for those with a special interest in the technology or the political possibilities around it. Now we're seeing that Bitcoin actually has a fair shot of becoming a future global reserve currency. An asset that is completely borderless, that is not tied to any one jurisdiction, that is censorship resistant, and is not struggling with a debt overhang, such as dollar and other fiat currencies. So against this backdrop, I and a lot of others anticipate that Bitcoin will become way more important in the financial system in the coming years and way more valuable. And the question I get from our shareholders all the time is, how will K33 capitalize? And the answer is actually simple. The main service we're running operationally is providing access for those who want to buy, store, and sell Bitcoin if they have to, without worry. The challenge out there is that there's a lot of different exchanges. There's actually hundreds of exchanges to choose from. But it's really, really hard to find one that you can trust. Some might be very user-friendly, but have really high fees. With others, you risk that the funds get frozen when you withdraw them, that you get stuck without being able to speak to someone at support that can help you. I believe that when we're looking at the current landscape, it's not good enough. The future of finance cannot be built on how the crypto industry has been. And that's why we're building K33, because we believe investors deserve something better. What you get with K33 is an institutional grade trading infrastructure. You get personalized support, superior pricing, full FX flexibility, direct bank deposits in your preferred fiat currency. We're able to offer this because we are working with larger clients. We're working on the one hand with high net worth individuals, family offices, but on the other, we're also working with corporations. We're working with businesses that are increasingly relying on stable coins or Bitcoin as a part of their operation. We are supporting other Bitcoin treasury companies. When they are buying and custodying Bitcoin as a part of their strategy, they're doing it with K33. And we're working with other financial institutions. We have hedge funds, other crypto brokers using us as a platform to source prices, to source liquidity. And we're in dialogue with several players from traditional finance, figuring out how to launch products with them and K33 as a partner. Looking at our users then, they really like what we're adding. I have people who've been trading in the crypto market for a decade that are switching over to K33 and really expressing their gratitude for the service, the speed of settlement, the quality of support, the firmness of our prices. And in addition, we see that we're getting new clients and partners every week. In Norway, we were working with public entities when the police, for instance, have to sell Bitcoin after a seizure. We're working with, as I mentioned, other traditional financial players. And we've even onboarded a Norwegian bank that has done its first Bitcoin purchases through K33. So far, those purchases have mainly been about learning, kind of getting up the learning curve rather than a big financial commitment. But my hypothesis is that this will change in the future. This will change for the rest of the year, next year, when more and more financial institutions truly will embrace Bitcoin and the digital asset space. And it's not only happy customers we get strong growth. We launched K33 back in Q3 of 2023, and since then, we had 6 quarters of strong consecutive growth. For Q1, we grew 200% year over year. We grew 20% compared to Q4, despite the general market actually seeing a drop of 10%. So we are outgrowing the market, and we expect this to continue in the quarters and the years to come. Our numbers are still tiny. The market opportunity is massive, even before you take into account the general industry growth that we anticipate over the coming years. And we have achieved this while building up the service. This is not growth that we realized after we kind of invested for a long period and then had the full product. This is the growth we realized while fixing things on the fly. That said, our platform is now rock solid. We're now iteratively adding new features. We recently added instant 24/7 bank deposits, leveraging PSD2 open banking. We will very shortly launch limit orders on the platform. And we're doing kind of the changes to fully accommodate for partners so that we can distribute the K33 products through other providers. If we then take a big step back and look at the market opportunity for such an operation, a digital asset brokerage, I think it's valuable to take a look at the global wealth management market. And the revenue there is estimated to be around $1.5 trillion annually. That's revenue. That's the margin that the industry is making. If we very conservatively assumes an average allocation of 4% to Bitcoin and digital assets, and we assume also margins related to that in line with other alternative investments, we are looking at a revenue potential of around $100 billion globally, and a quarter of that from the European market over the next coming years. This is the true reason why financial institutions are coming into the space. It's not because they suddenly are embracing a world without financial intermediaries. It's because their clients want access, and they see that there's money to make from making that access a reality. Their challenge, of course, is that they don't know the industry, they don't know the market, and they don't have the products. And that's where K33 comes in. We will be the preferred partner for traditional financial institutions in the Nordics and beyond who want to get into this sector. And in Europe, the EU has passed what is called MiCA, Markets in Crypto Assets. It's a regulatory framework similar to what the EU is having for securities, but for crypto assets. And this is really driving the institutional adoption of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in the EU as we speak. And a key component of MiCA is the clarification that if you're a bank or another licensed traditional entity in the EU, you don't need a new license to launch a crypto product. You need to have a partner, you need to have the product, and then you need to notify your regulator. And this is a massive shift. This regulation will push a lot of the kind of cutting edge innovation out of Europe. That's the downside. But for a company like K33, this will really accelerate the entrance of banks, brokers, asset managers, wealth managers, the client segment where we expect to see the most growth over the coming years. So we have the platform, regulation is there, client demand is there. What's blocking us from truly realizing this potential now? Well, the last piece that has been missing for K33 is a strong balance sheet. And this is a core reason why we launched our Bitcoin treasury strategy. We're a financial company. Yes, we leverage a lot of technology in the services that we deliver, but we're at the bottom a financial company. And as a financial business, our balance sheet is the basis for all our value-added services. We are strong believers in Bitcoin. We are holding Bitcoin personally. We are advising our high net worth and family offices clients to invest in Bitcoin. So for us as a business, it really makes sense to invest in Bitcoin as well, to hold it on our balance sheet, to get the direct exposure to that appreciation. But what is truly differentiating is that by doing so, we're also unlocking operational synergies. Strategically, we've been looking at a lot of the different Bitcoin treasury companies out there, learning the best practices, and then figured out our path. Our goal now is to get to 1,000 Bitcoin as soon as possible, conditional on good terms for our investors. We're now raising our second round, and we're continuously building up the balance sheet by conducting the Bitcoin purchases. And then to drill a little bit further down into exactly how we envision using our balance sheet. I think it's important to realize that when you look at the crypto space, it's a very strange market structure. I have 10 different accounts on 10 different trading venues to get access to the full market. That doesn't make sense. In traditional finance, you will typically have one broker, one platform where you do KYC, one platform where you keep your portfolio consolidated, not fragmented across a ton of different venues, one platform with the fiat rails that you really like, the support that you really like. And then it's the broker's job to give you access to the whole market. That is what we're building with K33. But to do so, we need a balance. We have accounts on all of the big exchanges. And by using our balance as collateral, we can mirror out those exchanges, those markets to our clients. We can mirror out there a bit, Binance, Coinbase, all of the markets, all of the products, all of the features without building them ourselves, but by offering what is called matched principal trading. And the matched principal part is really important because we are not going to take risk on our Bitcoin. We're not going to rehypothecate our Bitcoin. We're not going to do option strategies on our Bitcoin. We're going to hold the Bitcoins long and strong. But by using the balance sheet as a pledge, as a collateral, we can get a credit on these venues. And then we can lock in the trades that our clients are doing with us on the venue itself, back to back. And through that, mirror out the exchanges without taking market risk on the Bitcoin, without kind of building up or trying to replicate what Binance and Coinbase, Kraken and others have done beautifully already. Another important vertical will be Bitcoin collateralized lending. I think this is a segment that will explode in the coming years. Yet the challenge for banks is that they don't know how to deal with Bitcoin as collateral. And from a capital requirements perspective, it's extremely expensive. They have to hold double capital if they rely on Bitcoin collateral. Economically, that doesn't make sense because Bitcoin is liquid 24/7. And if you have an over-collateralized loan, there's actually zero counterparty risk for the creditor. The model we are right now exploring in K33 is one in which a bank writes a loan to a client. The client has a collateral or like move their Bitcoin to K33, and we have a pledge over that. And then K33 as a business writes a guarantee to the bank. The bank cannot have the guarantee coming directly from the Bitcoin itself, the collateral of the client, but it can have the guarantee written by a well-capitalized company. We, on the other hand, are more than happy to deal with Bitcoin collateral. I mean, we're doing custody, we're doing trading all day. This is our bread and butter. And through this type of setup and then loan distribution license, we can actually issue loans with a bank partner backed by Bitcoin, enabling our clients to free up liquidity, either to buy more Bitcoin, to buy a house, pay their taxes, whatever, and really scale this. We are in conversations with several banks, and it's a very promising track. But yet again, another track that really requires that we have a strong balance. And the list goes on and on. The long story short, with a strong balance, K33 can truly become a dominant and leading broker in Europe, really bringing trading of Bitcoin to the next level of maturity. It'll enable us to partner with other banks. It has already improved our margins on our trading from the Bitcoins we have already bought. And we get all of these operational benefits while fully embracing Bitcoin as a treasury company by building as much Bitcoin per share as possible in accredited ways to our shareholders, being long-term exposed to the upside and the importance of Bitcoin as an asset. So we're growing fast. The client demand is there. The trends is clear, and we can definitely see it, especially from the US. It's going to come to Europe, and in Europe, K33 is a leading candidate. We're right now raising money to buy more Bitcoin, to be exposed to the upside of Bitcoin, and to unlock these operational synergies.